Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a Patreon request for Jacob. Sorry if you watch this. Hopefully you watch this. Sorry that it took so long. Had to take a while to trying to find my Blu-ray, and I did find it. And then as soon as I found it, I found a copy online, and it's just basically easier to watch it this way. So. Plus a lot of other stuff. So anyway, I apologize for the lateness, Jacob Grodian. I really appreciate your Patreon pledge. I appreciate everyone who has done that. If you're ever interested in sending a request, either directly via PayPal, it could be a commentary, review, a re-review, a movie topic, or anything of the sort. Pretty much any type of video, either directly to my PayPal, link to that's down below, or you could be part of my Patreon, which there's certain tiers. That's going to be down in the info box as well. But the video we wanted me to do for today is a fan commentary on the 1986 classic, The Hitcher, which I am more than fine with doing. So this is on YouTube. Just type in The Hitcher 1986 and then do the thing where plus 20 minutes for longer videos. You'll find it. It's about an hour and 37 minutes and 25 seconds. So 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Now we have the TriStar logo. Fucking Weens, what's going on? Fucking White Horse. If you know Richard Pryor, you know what I'm talking about. But HBO Pictures. The Hitcher from 1986, I can easily say is one of my favorite horror films of all time. I adore this film. I first saw this on VHS tape back in the day with that cover. And when I looked at the cover, I liked the poster, but at the same time, when you look at the cover, in a weird way, my expectations were low because I just assumed it'd be just a slasher film. But then right from the get-go, I'm listening to the music. I'm like, this is really somber, like, well-done musical score. And then the way the director is utilizing the environment, these wide shots. And I'm like, oh, C. Thomas Howell, I remember him. I've seen him in movies. And of course, Rutger Hauer, may he rest in peace. Rutger Hauer is amazing in this. I mean, my favorite Rutger Hauer films is this and Split Second. And so when people go ask, what's your favorite Rutger Hauer film? To me, I go, if he's a hero, Split Second. If he's a villain, The Hitcher. Because it's hard for me to pick between the two. I mean, if I have to be honest, I would say The Hitcher is a better made film, directing wise, but Split Second, very big soft spot in my heart for Split Second. But this, the director who would go on to direct this film called Highwaymen, which I believe I reviewed on the channel with Jim Caviezel, Robert Harmon, the writer Eric Red would go on to direct quite a few good films, including Body Parts with Jeff Fahey, which I would like to get on Blu-ray sometime. I love that film. Also Bad Moon, which I reviewed. That's a werewolf movie, one of the better ones. And Eric Red had a hand in writing Near Dark, pretty decent vampire film. I believe a review that is on the channel. And Robert Harmon and Eric Red worked fairly well together in this. And just the way the film is shot, utilizing the landscape, it really does feel like this kid is in the middle of nowhere while it's storming, while it's, the vistas that it creates. It definitely is a nice way to establish the mood, this rainy weather. And what you should not do is pick up hitchhikers. It's definitely a film to establish that. And this is one of those movies that the acting is top notch. The story, I think, is well constructed. And I think this is a movie that you could think of on deeper levels, and it doesn't seem silly or stupid. Because I think we're in the hands of very talented people. And so you look at Rutger Hauer's character, the Hitcher, and I've seen this film many times. You could think of multiple things about Rutger Hauer's character. Is this character even real? Like a real person? Is he a phantom? Is he a ghost? Is he none of the above? Is he there to teach C. Thomas Howell a lesson? Is it a lesson to be a man? Is it a lesson to, this is a person that wants to be stopped but can't, and he needs someone to do it? Is this an not epiphany, but a symbolism for manhood? That once C. Thomas Howell stands up to this figure, he's going to be a man, so to speak. There's even people that think of it as a certain homosexual tint to it with some of the things done. You could look at it as maybe it's a supernatural thing. You could look at it as maybe it's just a flat out crazy, smart, psychotic killer. I think you can look at it different ways, and it works with whatever you choose to. And the actors, both of them do their jobs very well. C. Thomas Howell is the naive kid, and as the movie goes on, he becomes much tougher, and when you get to the end of it, and then Rutger Hauer, just intimidating and intense, and I miss Rutger Hauer. It was so sad to hear that he passed away. I mean, of course, he was in Blade Runner, Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone, Wanted Dead or Alive, Blind Fury, all films. I believe I reviewed all films on my channel. Blind Fury, I think, is underrated. Wanted Dead or Alive is a decent one for at least Rutger. I did a little Rutger Hauer marathon when he passed away. Not all of his movies, but a little bit. I reviewed The Blood of Heroes. That's a decent one. But yeah, Hobo with a Shotgun I didn't mind. I wish the ending was different though. I wasn't really big on the ending, but it's not a bad film. But I thought the really nice job with the lighting and the sequence, the reflection of the faces, making it appear as if it is raining. I really never understood the critical bashing this film got. It just makes me realize that with all these movies that critics pontificate about their deeper meanings, for some reason they didn't realize that with this, especially Siskel and Ebert. Like the way Siskel and Ebert talked about this film almost makes me think they never even saw the damn film. That might not be right or fair, but I'm sorry, I'm going to give my honest opinion. And again, I'm thinking, which is funny because they praised Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, but then they want to talk about how violent this film is, and how people, what happens with Jennifer Jason Leigh's character. They describe it as if they really saw the lady being pulled apart, and you didn't. You didn't. It was in your mind. It's just that the film did it so effectively that you got fooled, so to speak. When I looked at critics, I'm like, how can you look at this film and see these two guys' performances, Rutger Hauer's menacing role, C. Thomas Howell is likable, how well it's filmed, the music, the lighting. The guy who was driving that car, he picked me up before you did. Yeah. He couldn't have walked far. And the way he just keeps looking at Sitao's how he's just waiting for him to ask. And then he tells the answer. Cut off his legs and his arms and his head. And I'm going to do the same to you. And then Sitao's just look like... That's why you don't pick up hitchhikers, man. You do not. And he's got his little switchblade thing. He's going to put it between the guy's legs, which is why he doesn't say anything. Which, hey, I mean, if someone's got a switchblade by your nuts, you're not going to say much. I mean, this just creates a really nice mood and atmosphere, and again, the actors do their jobs well, and the movie's not as violent as people make it out to be. If you actually watch the film, a lot of it is after the fact, and it's hinted at. And again, with like Siskel and Ebert, they talked about how violent this film is and how despicable. I'm like, you guys didn't see the movie. There are plenty of films you guys love that are 10 times more violent than this movie. It is because they did a good job with the score and the cinematography and the acting that they made you feel uneasy, which is its intention. You know what happens to an eyeball when it gets punctured? And you just pictured that Rutger Hauer's character has done this multiple times upon multiple times. And that's the thing, that might be his real him. I want you to stop me. So what you got to lose? Stop me. Maybe he really does want someone to stop him. He really does want someone to stop what he's doing. Whether he's, again, however you want to interpret it. I think this is bound for multiple pieces of interpretation. That maybe this is a character that wants stopped and he wants to find someone strong enough and tough enough to stop him, and he's hasn't found one yet. And yeah, he's probably done this multiple times. And the second time where he says, I want to die, he could be saying that about himself, about how he wants to die. He's not going to kill himself, but I want to die. Like that second time, he kind of says a bit softer. It feels like I'm looking too much into it. No, Eric Red, based on the other films I've seen of his, he's a very talented individual. And you can tell that if he finishes this sentence, he is going to die like the old variety of victims this guy's had. But he's finally found someone who's willing to take the risk and gets him out of the car. Might have been the first time this ever happened to Rutger's character. I love C-Town's reaction. Yeah, yeah. Fuck you, buddy. That's a genuine reaction. I appreciate that. I really like that. And some beautiful camera work in this too. Like this bit coming up on the flat of the road and how it pulls up to Rutger's character. And this bit coming up when he stands up. Like right here. That's a beautiful camera work. And you look at Rutger's face, you see almost a hint of a smile. Like he stands up and or at least the scene maybe before he gets up. But it's almost like, okay, here we go. Finally, let's see what happens. Like impressive. And you know that shot before of underneath the just makes him look menacing and towering. And the score really does a nice job throughout the entire flick. And then, you know, coming up this oh shit moment, so to speak. Like you got little kids, you know, see Talon's how being friendly, being a nice guy, and all of a sudden the reveal of oh shit. And then the soundtrack changes. You gotta remember, this is 1986. This is before cell phones were a thing. And he's gotta try to warn them, and he does. He tries to do the right thing. You know, tell him to pull over. Now, granted, it's these parents' fault. Why the fuck would they... The guy's a fucking nut. The guy's a fucking nut in your car. Now, these parents are idiots. Why would they let a hitchhiker, a stranger, ride with their kids in the back seat? So, again, it shows how dumb these parents are. So, they die from their stupidity. Again, like parents, they ride with kids. Why the fuck would you let a stranger hitchhike into the back, you know, your car? Again, just shows this utter stupidity of the parents in this fucking movie. Here's the vehicle, and it's not going to end well. And again, you watch this scene, you tell me, where's the violence? Since Siskel and Ebert and all these other critics talk about how ghastly violent. First off, even if it is, so what? What's wrong with that? Number two, it's not. The intention, what it creates in your head. But what do you actually see? You see an empty car. Okay, it has the boat, so you know it's the same vehicle. You have the slow buildup of suspense of what's he going to see. We did shots of his feet. He looks through. We don't see anything, but you see two things. Drops of blood on his shoe, and his reaction of running away, getting in his car, and barfing. That's all you see. His reaction and drops of blood onto his shoe. And right there you get in your head that the kids were killed, the parents were killed, probably very violently. So yeah, critics, how is this film so violent? And that's what they use against the film. And just the atmosphere they create, like the dust storm going outside, and then the pieces of lighting in here. With the dust storm almost creates a little bit of supernatural vibe with the streets of light and how dusty everything's at. Like they really sense there's nobody here. AC Tao's house character's just a normal kid, a normal guy, trying to get from point A to point B and trying to do the best that he can. And then coming up, Rutger Hauer's character comes out almost like a phantom. Like right here. Like boom, he's right there. And he's like, he keeps popping up everywhere, and Like, who is he? What is he? And then give him the tease as if, here's the challenge. Here's the start of your journey. Here's the challenge. Come and get me, kid. To see what you can do. Also, it does showcase that he was in the guy's car. He was in the car. So, I believe his coat is in there. And if that's the case, then that's where he planted evidence, which will come back later. But also, I mean, just to go, hey, I could get in your car, I could do whatever I want, and also, come and get me, man. The choice is yours. You could, and I look back to him like, come and get me. And he tries to warn the people, but no one wants to listen to him. I love the dust storm environment. Again, it really showcases how simple shots, the wide shots of the vistas, can do a lot. Instead of being too busybody. And also, you have a bit of action elements in this too. I mean, you can almost call this an action horror film. Almost. And the way the vehicular sequences are utilized makes sense why Robert Harmon later on would do Highwaymen. Granted, not nearly as effective as this, but I don't mind Highwaymen. I actually saw that in the theater. It just stars Jim Caviezel and I forget who else. I think Frankie Faison was his name? I can't remember. I reviewed the film. It's been a long time since I reviewed it. But again, it's just Rutger Hauer just fucking with him. He's smiling, he's shaking his head, he leaves, just toying with this guy because it seemed like maybe this is perhaps the first time in a long time where Rutger Hauer's character is a bit rejuvenated with, man, what's going to happen next? This is a bit fun. This is a bit of excitement. Or again, maybe it's like, okay, maybe this could be the kid. Maybe if I teach him enough, maybe if I teach him the ways of manhood or do something, maybe he can be the guy that takes me out. Another gas station in the middle of nowhere. Just imagine working at this place in the middle of nowhere. I mean, with how little cars go by, you wonder like how much business would they get. Maybe access the person's home and they just live up top. I don't know. I mean, I guess you assume that Rutger Hauer, who's in there, he killed the people working at a gas station, perhaps? Boom. Good start. I mean, almost ready to hit this person. Nice camera work, too. Some nice POV shots of the truck. Well, at least one or two of them I saw. Like, that's a good POV. I didn't just continually fuck with this guy. And that's what I mean by a lot of times in videos I say it depends on the movie how certain things you're going to let by, but the same thing will be bothered. Like in a lesser movie, it'd be bothered like, oh, he's just going to let the guy live. That's lucky. That's convenient. But with how well done everything else in the movie and no one realizing what this character is like, it does make sense. And then how well shot, like the slow-mo of him getting in the car, the mash, real practical with fire, real practical explosion here of the gas station. I mean, we're 23 minutes and 29 seconds in, and We already got an establishment of our two characters, the inciting incident. We got a family that's been killed, a little bit of a car chase, a fucking gas station being blown up. Then we got Jennifer Jason Leigh's character here. I mean, this is in the span of almost 24 minutes. And so I will be right back. I apologize, but pretty much this is when C. Thomas Howell's character will be here, and him and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Okay, I'll let you come in. That whole shebang. And Jennifer Jason Leigh does a good job here for what she's given to do. But yeah, I'll be right back. I apologize. I'll keep the movie going so it just doesn't screw up the sync and such. Light beer. Nah, I'm not much of a beer guy. I'm more into this. And Thomas, like everyone always talks about Rutger Hauer for good reason, because he's a fantastic job in this. But it seems like some people kind of downplay C. Thomas Howell's role in this, but I think he does a wonderful job as well. Because even in that bit where he's in this is a nice establishment showcasing the food, her leaving, so it gives you excuses to how Rutger Hauer gets those fingers in there. Finger fries. But that look in the mirror is like, okay, he's very, even now C. Thomas Howell's character is a bit different from where it was in the beginning, where he's very friendly, listen to the radio. Now after stuff going on, he's a little bit more serious. Like I said, Jennifer Jason Leigh, being a nice person, let him have a bite to eat. Yeah, there's the coat. Actually, that might have been when he, when he put the evidence in, Rutger Hauer. He might have put it in his coat since it was left there. That might be when he did it. And man, don't get me started on the remake of the Hitcher or the sequel. The Hitcher 2, I've been waiting, is a sequel that did not need to be made. C. Thomas Howell comes back, but I'm going to spoil it. C. Thomas Howell is with this lady named Terry Wooer. C. Thomas Howell, like at the beginning of the film, they make it seem like he's going to be a killer, but really he's a police officer. pretty interesting, but then Jay Busey is the killer, and then the movie's trying to make you think, is that the son of Rutger Hauer, or is the reincarnation of Rutger Hauer's character? And then C. Thomas Howell dies, and then it's just Terry Brewer against Jay Busey. So fuck the Hitcher too. That's insulting. To me, it doesn't exist. I don't know why the fuck C. Thomas Howell did it. Well, paycheck, I guess. Because it's not like he's getting a lot of leading roles. And then the remake is one of the worst remakes I've ever seen in my life. I absolutely despise the remake in every way, shape, and form. Sean the Beanie Baby, I'm sorry, he's no Rutger Hauer. Everything that makes this film good, the remake fucks up. In the first one, in this one, it's mainly a one-on-one battle. But Jason Lee comes along right for a little bit, but it's mainly a one-on-one thing. Here, these two characters are a couple in the movie, and they're in it the entire time against Rutger Hauer. So you don't get a sense of a character being isolated or alone. This is a weird way of eating French fries. I've never eaten French fries this way, where I just take a bite and then I keep taking a bite and another bite. I've never done that before. But I mean, you do get this. Great reveal of the finger. I mean, I guess you could say that's violent, but I mean, just a little finger. Just some finger fries. I'll get back to the remake in a little bit, but I know one of these cops is actually Billy Greenbush. This guy in the cowboy hat. Billy Greenbush, he is the dad in the first Critters movie. He also had a supporting role in Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, as the sheriff in that movie. But yeah, I remember him the most as the dad in Critters. Which I don't know if Billy Greenbush is still around. He seems like, I think he was one of the only... I don't think he talked about Critters when they did the Blu-ray set. Sad to say. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if he's still with us or he just doesn't like talk about movies. I don't know. But yeah, this is when Rutger Hauer's fucked him over even more. But when he listened to Jacket. But the remake of The Hitcher, like I said, the lead actors are piss poor. They do the typical, if it's a male psycho, it's gotta be a female lead to go up against it. I mean, that made it a bit more interesting here because it didn't just make it into a typical slasher film. It was two males going head to head in this battle. It made it a bit more unique. And instead in the remake, nope, it's gotta be a female lead. It just made it a bit more typical. And of course it's a male villain, so we can't make the hero a male. Just how we don't make them believable as a victim and without seeming weak by good writing like this film does. But that director has never done anything since. No fucking wonder why. But in the remake, there's an action sequence where fucking Nine Inch Nails is playing. The song Closer. I wanna fuck you like an animal. Yeah, that's what's needed in a fucking car chase scene. You do see, this time the boyfriend, the guy getting torn apart with bad CGI. Even the ending, the lady, the lead, she walks away from a fucking explosion in slow motion as if it's a fucking Michael Bay movie. It's just... what everything this does right, the remake does wrong. That's why the Hitcher remake gets my vote as one of the worst all-time motherfucking remakes ever. Hands down. I mean, is that the worst remake I've seen? It's up there. Fuck, I'd rather watch the Fog remake, and that's a huge piece of shit. But the Hitcher remake just infuriates me more because of just how classic this film is. Absolute classic of a film. And it didn't get the respect when it came out. It didn't do well. Critics took a shit on it. Even in the US, there's no Blu-ray of the Hitcher in the US. There is overseas, but not in the US. To this day, there's not a Blu-ray of this in the US. Why? If they did get the Blu-ray of it from overseas, why not here in the US? I don't understand that. Don't get it at all. But I don't understand that whole thing. Like, what the deal is with it. Like, who the fuck owns it? The Hitcher. Why does it not have a Blu-ray in the US? Again, it fucking deserves it. And there was like these people hinting that would get it. Never fucking happened. Again, just if you get the one overseas, but you need a region-free Blu-ray player. And C. Thomas Howell, again, his character's trying to do the best he can with this situation he's in. But I like this because the cops have a little bit of common sense. That kid is a killer. Any fool could see that. Which I'm like, okay, these cops are not the biggest dumbasses ever. Kind of like the remake of The Blob, where the sheriff looked at Brian Flagg's character, that character, Kevin Dillon, and said, you know, he's a punk, but ain't no killer. And you appreciate that a bit more. See, a lot of times it's the little things that add up to something bigger and better for a script. I think that's what a lot of people nowadays don't realize. Because I think honestly a lot of people who make films, they treat the audience like a bunch of numbskulls who are easy to please, and as long as you get some shiny teas or a known property, or hey, you remember this? Well, we don't make you remember it 85 times, so enjoy. I mean, if you just say this is an original horror film, in the fact that it's not based on at least a remake of a movie or cartoon or a remake of a remake or a film from the 80s. And again, does that mean that's always a bad thing? No. There's exceptions to pretty much almost anything, almost everything. Now, of course, his memories, nightmares of what's been going on. If you listen, there's elements that almost sound like gunshots and gunfire. So it's almost as if he's hearing it as part of his dream, but that's he realized there's a bit more to it. Idea more of Rutger Hauer's character just fucking with this guy. Like, he killed all the cops, unlocked the door, and just again fucking with him repeatedly. It's a great, to me, one of the best cases of a cat and mouse game is this movie. And C. Thomas Howell is the mouse, and Rutger Hauer is one mean motherfucking cat. Rest in peace, Rutger Hauer. This deserves a Blu-ray in the US. Again, I know as a Blu-ray overseas, but a Blu-ray in the US, that means, more people will be willing to, or more able, I should say, to be able to get it and enjoy it as it should. That's probably why this is on YouTube for free, because you can watch it for free on YouTube, which I'm seeing it here, because there's no Blu-ray in the US. I do have the Blu-ray from overseas, and it looks fantastic, but yeah, it just was easier to do it this way. Because otherwise I'd be looking here at the TV like this, but here I could look at least somewhat directly like this. Because the TV's over there like an angle. Of course, something's up. Things are up shit creek. But fuck it. I just picture myself in the shoes of this guy and be like, even the dog ain't having it. Maybe the dog got scared of Rutger Hauer's character, and that's why the dog is not as mean of a police dog as you would think. And if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be intimidated too. But yeah, keep on reading, but no one will pick up. Did everybody dead? Dead. Did they all die? Died. Everybody died. I deal with the music and the way certain camera, like the slow push-ins, and I don't like critics. This is the type of stuff critics eat up on a variety of other movies, but for some reason not this one. Even the violence. This is all aftermath. You didn't see this happen. This is aftermath. Guy with some blood on it, some blood on the walls. This guy here, some blood on his hand, blood on his face. And honestly, it seemed like Rutger Hauer killed all these people with a knife. Because all you see is like cuts. So you imagine like how the hell did this guy take out a whole police station with what could be just a fucking knife? What you do when all these things culminates, you're going, I think there's something more to this. Yeah. Because if you have some really talented people involved. C-Town's house character's like, fuck it, I'm ready to give up, man. Just hitchhike the fuck out of here. Not sure if it's a good idea to have taken the gun, though. I don't know, if you get found with a gun, it makes you seem a bit more guilty. But I'm guessing the idea is, in case, the Hitcher comes around. But this came out in 1986, which I would say 1986 is one of my all-time favorite movie years. Because a lot of the films that become my favorites came out in 1986. I mean, you got Cobra, which I love. The Golden Child, which I love to death. Big Trouble in Little China. Maximum Overdrive. This movie. A lot of movies that I just adore and love came out this year. And I would just see it. I would say it's in my top three favorite years. Like it's hard to pick because there's so many great years. But for movie years, I'd probably go maybe 1986, maybe 1990, and 1993. Those are the 3 years that pop up. Because 1993, 93 I think of because he had for me, Hard Target, Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, and others. 1990, you had the first Ninja Turtles movie, Jacob's Ladder, The First Power, Total Recall. I mean, and here we have C. Thomas Howell commandeering this police car. And then Captain, I believe, Etheridge is the character's name? Etheridge? Yeah, okay. And that captain does a good job, the actor, who would also be in the Blob remake from 1988. He would be the sheriff in that movie. And, good character actor. Plays a likable character. Seems like a fair character for the few parts he's in the movie. Not a one-note, hard-ass, redneck cop or teen shit cop. Which I appreciate. And I like the actor as well. I've seen him in quite a bit of stuff. I mentioned the Blob remake, among others. A Warning Sign, which is an underrated one. And Steve also, again, his character just trying to do the best that he can. Like, he's in this situation here. What's he going to do? But, okay, up the background, there's a pickup truck. Right when he's like, take us in, Roger Howard's like, fuck you. Shoots her right there. Just shoots doesn't shoot at Roger. He doesn't shoot at C. Thomas Howell's character. He just shoots the two cops in the front, and that's it. He's like, no, this is between me and you, nobody else. Again, this has become his entire life. It's fuck you with C. Thomas Howell's character. And C. Thomas Howell freaking out more and more. He's freaking out more and more because he just had an opportunity to go in with Captain Etheridge, and now they only have two more cops, and he's like, I'm even more fucked. There's nothing else I can do. What am I going to do? And decides against it. Had a little bit of a breakdown, but again, with the way it's shot and the music, and it all works together very well. A little bit, the sun comes out, almost like a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope. Don't worry, man. You don't be in Soul Man. Don't kill yourself. You don't mean Soul Man. Actually, I don't know if Soul Man came out before or after this. Wasn't really a fan of Soul Man. If you don't know what this is, look up the trailer. See Town Style Soul Man. But Jesus. Fucking. If that's that career killer, I don't know what is. But we're about halfway through the film. The best damn fisherman in here. We're down in the cafe here, boy. You get on the road there, down son. I think you definitely see this change in C. Thomas's character throughout it. You okay, kid? No. Oh yeah, and coming up we did a pretty damn good scene here. Because just C. Thomas just wanted to have a little bit of rest. Try to figure out what to do next, and then... who just happens to show up coming up here? I think just fucking with him once again. And that smile on his face. How you like Shitsville? You stay seated right where you are, or I'll blow your brains through your ass. The gun's empty. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just watching, just enjoying it. I miss Roger Hauer very much. And then he has his gun, which is the finger. Go ahead. I'm going to squeeze by. Just the fucking finger. But C. Talos doesn't know it. But and Rutger's face almost like he's proud of him. Like he would have shot me. Or just whatever that look is. And he's asked a legitimate question. Why are you doing this? And some interpret this upcoming gesture like a day thing, but for I understand it's more like these pennies are kind of the pay the ferry for the journey. Like journeying to the underworld. I believe that's the thinking behind it. You're a smart kid. You'll figure it out. Pennies for the ferryman. And then the start of the journey, like, here's some bullets. You know, come and get me. Almost like he's training him for whatever the ultimate event is. Like, here's the pennies for the journey, and here's some bullets. Better put that gun away. Does he even have money for the bus? Or does he sneak in? Yeah, I think he sneaks in. Because he doesn't have money for it. But yeah, because the driver of the bus. I think that's him right there, the driver of the bus. Yeah, he sleeps on board. I've been on those type of buses, so I know how that goes. And from the few times I've been on that type of bus, seems like the best, really the best place is right in the back. Because if you need to go to the bathroom, boom, it's like 2 inches away and you don't have to wade through a bunch of people. And it just seems like there's more room in the back. There's no one behind you. They kicked your seat. And this has a little bit, like a teeny bit of a Western vibe to it as well, with the, the 6-shooter there and the vistas. I like the music here too, which actually is the music you'll hear at the end credits of the movie. No one really talks about the score to this film, but this score is extremely well done. And it's definitely a strong component of the motion picture. It's subtle, it's not too overbearing, has a good mood to it, good atmosphere to it. And yeah, it just works very well. See the back seat? I told you the back seat is the best seat in the house. Oh yeah, that wasn't the driver. That's the guy right there with the glasses. Never mind. I want to see if I can look up any info on the film. Hopefully this doesn't slow the video down a little bit. Let's see. I mean, a lot of times the film speaks for itself, so it's kind of hard to do a commentary throughout the entire thing, especially when I never made the movie. Let's see what it says on here. It's a road thriller. So they don't even call a horror film on Wikipedia. It's a road thriller. Mark Isham did the score. Give credit to that. John Seal did the cinematography. Mark Isham also did music for let me make sure. What else has he done scores for? Apparently Point Break, 1991. Cool World, 1992. Nowhere to Run, 1993. Time Cop? I didn't know he did the score for Time Cop. Kiss the Girls. Blade? I didn't know he did the score for Blade. Definitely some recognizable films he worked on. Apparently 2 people worked on the score for Time Cop. Yeah, the film didn't make much of anything at the box office. When writer Eric Red was 20 years old, he made a short film entitled Gunman's Blues in the hopes of getting the opportunity to direct a feature-length film. When no offers came, he moved from New York to Austin, Texas, taking a drive-away car cross-country. While driving from one city to another, he got the idea for a film from the Doors song Riders on the Storm. He found that the elements of the song, a killer on the road and a storm, plus the cinematic feel of the music would make a terrific opening for a film. Eric Red had a lot of time to think about the song and inspired ideas for the story. During his 7-month stay in Austin, he drove a taxi cab and wrote The Hitcher. In 1983, he sent a letter to several Hollywood producers asking if he could send them a copy of the screenplay for The Hitcher. His letter concluded, "If the story grabs you by the guts and does not let up and does not let go, when you read it, you will not sleep for a week. When the movie is made, the country will not sleep for a week." Script development executive David Bombich received a copy of Eric Red's letter and was intrigued by the description of the film. Eric Red sent him a script that was approximately 190 pages in length. In the original script, an entire family is slaughtered in their station wagon. Well, that kind of happens, but off screen. An eyeball is discovered inside of a hamburger. I guess in this, they changed it from the finger fries. A woman is tied to a truck and a pole and then torn in half. 2 teenagers engage in sex, and there's a decapitation as well as several slashings, shootings, and car crashes. Bombich found the original script to be extremely brutal and extremely gory, but saw in it a level of challenge, intensity, and poetry. So, hey, the script needs work. Originally for 20th Century Fox, but the studio was not comfortable with the film subject matter, but felt that the writing was unique and interesting enough to give the filmmakers a letter of intent to distribute the film. This will allow them to get financing, and then once film is completed, the studio would reimburse them for the budget. Let's see. Actors David Bowie, Steen, Sam Shepard, Harry Dean Stanton, and Terrence Stamp were mentioned for the part of Ryder, Rutger Hauer's character. Sam Elliott was offered the role, but an agreement could not be reached on his salary. Michael Ironside was also considered for the role. Sam Elliott would have been interesting because I'm a big Sam Elliott fan, but Rutger Hauer definitely made it his own. And I mean, this is a great action sequence here as these 2 cops. This is the one where in the remake, actually, I think it's when the helicopter comes in the remake. That's when the fucking 9 Inch Nails song Closer comes up in the remake. But I mean, it showcases that Robert Harmon could handle action sequences with the way it's edited, editing all these pieces together, like shooting out the top pieces of the car, doors being torn off, things of that nature. There you go. There's the door. And good stunt work from the actors, from the everybody. Good stunt work. And these are real cars in a row, not CGI, not green screen. They're really doing this for real. And this is going to be a really cool car wreck sequence. There you go, nice. Very nice. Nice tumbling of cars. Before Michael Bay and others were making it their own, people like this were doing it back in the day. Let's see. For the role of Jim Halsey, the Seatown's Howell's character, the producers mentioned Matthew Modine, Tom Cruise, and Emilio Estevez. Matthew Modine, I don't mind him in films like Full Metal Jacket, but no. Tom Cruise, interesting. But even at that time, I think Tom Cruise, even back then, he was, I don't want to say pretty boy because that makes it seem like an insult. But Emilio Estevez would have been very interesting. I mean, I liked C. Thomas Howell, but Emilio Estevez, I would actually love to have seen Emilio and Rutger Hauer go face to face. I think that would have been really cool to see. But again, C. Thomas Howell did a great job, but Emilio Estevez, that would have been really cool. Oh, here's the helicopter. I mean, they got a real fucking helicopter for this stuff. And it's not a humongous budget. I think this costs around $5 million total, and didn't really make much of any money. Twen- 20th Century Fox ultimately rejected the project over the budget and saw it as a straight-out horror movie. So yeah, that's why Fox did not do it. They optioned the film to Universal, Warner Brothers. They passed on it. Orion Pictures passed on it. New World Pictures passed on it. Many executives liked the script but balked at the girl being ripped apart scene. Some studios would have done it if Robert Harmon was replaced, but they had faith in their director. Here you go, Rutger Hauer shoots down a fucking helicopter. So you know there's something up with this guy. Like when he's able to drive in one hand and shoot down a helicopter with another hand, it's like, okay, this guy's not, he's either special forces like Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon, which maybe that's the case. Maybe that's where he got his taste for death and destruction. Never know. Or there's something more going on. And they drop a fucking helicopter down, man. At least that's what it looks like. It's just badass. Like, this guy doesn't fuck around. Apparently a lot of people had a problem with the girl getting ripped apart scene. A lot of people did not want the girl to die. Other people said, well, it would change the story significantly. Then there were arguments about how the girl should die. They were trying to make her death not horrible when by the nature of the script it had to be. I thought it was handled well here because it gave even more menace to Rutger Hauer's character, more reason for C. Thomas Howell's final step as a man to finally take this motherfucker down. And that was just a one-on-one battle at the end. Made it a bit more, in a weird way, intimate. The Hitcher opened in 800 theaters on February 21st, 1986. Strange, like a week after Valentine's Day? And made $2 million opening weekend, $5.8 million in North America. So it didn't make jack shit. 61% Rotten Tomatoes. Its journey is never quite as revelatory as it could be, but The Hitcher stands as a white-knuckle vision of horror, bolstered by Rutger Hauer's menacing performance. revelatory as it could be. Like, what the hell were you expecting? This is what I'm talking about. Roger Ebert gave it 0 stars. 0 stars? Speed 2 Twist Control gets a thumbs up, but this gets 0 stars. Arguing that the identification of the film's hero with the killer is hollow because the killer has no backstory or even a motive. Yep, because Michael Myers had that in Halloween, which you praised. As do I. I mean, backstory, okay, sister, there's your backstory. Really? I mean, why does the killer need a backstory? Do you need a spoon-fed? Gene Siskel also gave the film 0 stars, calling it a nauseating thriller. When you watch this film, there's plenty of movies that are more, quote, gory than this. Janet Maslin, New York Times, film's lack of intensity and originality. Originality? They say it's like Duel. I guess. Intensity, I don't understand. Lack of intensity. Like, some of these just reviews, I don't get one damn bit. I mean, like the Washington Post, the script is laconic in a dull way, as if it's lazy, boring. The cinematographer has shot the movie in such a brown murk you can hardly make anything out. Anyone who sees this film, can you make anything out? By the end, you're willing to forgive the villain his worst if someone would just change the light bulb. So apparently this guy needed glasses. A nasty piece of homophobic angst for the age of AIDS? What? Again, people's interpretations, I guess, go all around, man. A slasher movie about gay panic? Really? I wasn't... when I said some people interpret it that way, but apparently the Globe and Mail, Jay Scott, figures a slasher movie about gay panic. Just some of these reviews are some of the... I know it's their opinion, but... part of me just wants to go, their opinion fucking sucks. Okay? Plenty of people said that about me, so I can say that to other people. That's kind of really where I almost want to... well, I am saying it, so there you go. Fuck it. Most reviewers criticize the sadistic nature of the film's violence. I have seen plenty of action films that are more violent than this. On its own terms, this movie is diseased and corrupt. I would have admired it more had it found the courage to acknowledge the real relationship it was portraying between C. Thomas Howell and Rutger Hauer. But no, it prefers to disguise itself as a violent thriller, and on that level, it's reprehensible. Roger Ebert. What the fuck are you talking about? You thought it was about gay too? The relationship is one wants to teach the... I mean, there's different interpretations. It could be the simple interpretation of good and evil. Or one wanting to teach the other how to be a man. Like, I already said that. Like, all the interpretations you make out of it. Just some of these, this is why I don't fucking trust critics. Why the fuck should I with in my opinion, bullshit fucking things like that. Christ. Sorry, I'm looking at the remake. Dave Meyers directed the remake. After it, 2007 remake, he did a short film in 2015 and Shrimp Break, whatever the fuck that is, in 2017. So really nothing. He was a music video director. See, what music videos did the remake director of this do? I'm just curious. I can't help it. Get It Wet by Twista. D from Master P's Ghetto D. Just Be Sorry by Sick the Shocker. Or Silk the Shocker. Ba with the Bod by Kid Rock. Yeah, music video director. Well, he went back to music videos. No wonder fucking why. Doing Britney Spears' Radar. Katy Perry's Firework. Yeah, you should stick to music videos. Because he ain't shit as a director of movies. Of course, we had the same with Rutger Hauer and bed with Jennifer Jason Leigh's character. Robert Harmon, he would go on to direct Nowhere to Run, Jean-Claude Van Damme, which I reviewed when I did my Van Damme marathon. I reviewed pretty much all of Van Damme's movies, and I like Nowhere to Run with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I barely remember. Highwaymen from 2004. And pretty much did a shitload of the Tom Selleck, Jesse Stone movies. That's pretty much what he's been doing from like 2005 to 2015. Bunch of Jesse Stone TV movies. I really haven't seen those. I mean, I like Tom Selleck, but I really haven't seen those. Yeah, the original Hitcher has a 7.2 on IMDb, so I'm not the only one who likes the film. The remake, 5.6 is way too fucking high. I swear one of the making ofs they were talking some shit about the original movie, and I'm like, fuck you. That's my honest opinion. I think this scene works and is very effective in what it's trying to do. And it's not, you get enough in your head, and wow, a bad guy does something bad. How dare they? You're supposed to be horrified. I mean, how many fucking films end in bullshit downbeat endings, but people praise that to high heaven? But it's a horror film. You should be horrified. But yet here, this is a way of doing the horrified thing, and to me, a much better fashion. But people abhor this. But how many films in the 70s that were like political thrillers that end in such a downer manner, but they called it a classic? I would go, at least here the good guy survives and the bad guy dies. But again, various other 70s films I could name where that's not the case, but you guys praise that, but yet you call this such nihilistic, all these other names. Sure, whatever. Oh, so what? This is a guy that just, he's not impressed by the cops. He's not impressed what they could do and not do. Because he knows what he is. I mean, who he is, what he is. It's like this is a kid that just wants to die. He wants to find someone who's willing to do it. Because he's not going to do it himself. Again, just a very interesting case of cat and mouse. And it's like he's using C. Thomas Howell as a tool. And then Roger Howard's reaction here. Which makes sense why C. Thomas Howell doesn't do it, because he'll let it off the gas, she'll get torn apart. So you can't really blame C. Thomas Howell. But then Roger Howard is like, you useless waste. Because again, he's like, he wants to die. Or whatever interpretation you want to have. Again, it's just fade away and sound effects. Again, this is stuff that critics would eat up almost any other fucking day. But this one film, nope, it's god awful horrible. 0 stars. Even if you don't like this film, I'm sorry, I don't see how it's a 0-star movie. I don't. I get it's people's opinions. I think what it is, why I get hot about that type of stuff, even though I'm always a split personality with that aspect, where it's their opinions, but it's the part of me that goes, because a film like this, which is to me a fantastic film, in my opinion, is well done in various aspects, but then when it came out, no one saw it, no one cared to see it, and all the critics took a big dump on it, then you're not going to get movies like that. I'm not saying to copy and paste, but no one's going to attempt to do any of that, even vicinity. And I want more movies like that. Again, not the exact plot story, but what they were able to do. Now this guy here, interviewing Rutger Hauer, if he looks familiar, he played the Ferengi Quark on Star Trek Deep Space Nine and other avenues of Star Trek. But this guy was asking, do you have a name? That's Quark, the Ferengi. See, that shows how much of the other Star Treks I know. Ferengi, Quark, yeah, and Star Trek. Armin Shimmerman. Could be wrong on the name. Disneyland. I'm just looking at some of the trivia on IMDb. Rutger Hauer did a lot of the stunt driving throughout the movie, which amazed the crew and even the real stunt drivers. Director Christopher Nolan has listed this as one of his favorite movies. Interesting. Well, I'll give credit to that. I don't know if that's true. but that would be interesting if it is. Because this is when he's going to spit on him. Give him the excuse to spit on him. I guess when all these critics that were talking about the gay panic and Roger Ebert, oh, if they had the courage, because of scenes like this, where he takes the spit and rubs it. If you want to look at it that way, then this kind of tells you the whole thing. Why does it have to spell it out? But I think it's just Roger Howard literally just doing something to be weird and creepy. And you can look at it however you want. C. Thomas Howell considers this movie to be one of his personal favorites. I can see why. One of the few movies Roger Ebert gave 0 stars to. This film should be made, it should be shown, and it should not be attended by anybody. When Johnny Carson asked them if they were opposed to censorship. Yeah, but Cop and a Half is such a classic movie. Sorry. I mean, Roger Ebert, there's a lot of stuff I agree with you on, but sometimes people feel the same way about me, so what can I say? Roger Howard on David Letterman stated that the movie originally ended with Jim Halsey shooting John Ryder as Ryder lay prone on the highway. However, to avoid an X rating, the filmmaker shot the ending, and that was ultimately used, with Ryder getting to his feet, showing he's still a threat, and giving Jim at least partial justification for shooting him. One of the producers said that the movie's commercial failure was because of a lack of violence. Roger Howard said critics misunderstood the movie. It is an allegory in which Ryder represents evil. Here Roger Howard's pretty much studying the environment, once again showcasing how dangerous he just truly is. Now you look at C. Thomas Howell here, and you look how he is at the beginning of the film. Like the beginning of the film when he's talking to Roger Howard, he's very energetic and friendly. And now, look at his behavior and the looks he gives C. Thomas' character. Different individual now. An actual arc! God forbid, but, you know, again, the thing you think critics would eat up. And again, Roger Howard's no longer with it. This is what pissed me off sometimes about companies and Blu-rays. We could have had a Blu-ray of the Hitcher in the US. We could have had a Blu-ray of Split Second in the US. At least with the Hitcher, there was a documentary for the old 2-disc DVD overseas where C. Thomas Howell and Roger Howard talked about the film. So at least you get their thoughts on it. But Split Second and all these other Roger Howard films, you're never going to know. You're never going to know. That's why I get pissed when certain movies don't get a Blu-ray or don't get special edition or don't get, the features. Because like this upcoming Steve from LA Blu-ray, nothing from John Carpenter, nothing from Kurt Russell. Those are the two people I want to hear their thoughts on a Steve from LA. Because you throw a rock, you'll hear their thoughts on The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China, but you don't know their thoughts on Steve from LA. And that's what I would like to have seen, and because it doesn't have that, makes me now really want to get it. I mean, I don't have the Blu-ray on the film on Blu-ray. It's 4K, but not Yeah, that's a different matter. But getting back to this, yeah, it shows that Steve Thomas how he knows something's going to happen. He needs to finish it. Sort of his start of the end of his journey here. And C. Thomas was right because Rutger Hauer fucks everybody up. And we never see it. That's the thing, we never see it. That's the idea. Critics who keep saying this is so violent. We did not see him kill the cops in the police station. We did not see him kill the family in the station wagon. We don't see any of this happen. You fill it up in your head. And because of the music and the intensity and the actors, you get the gist and the idea. But then people keep thinking it's such a golly gee violent movie. I mean, you see him shooting a shotgun, but you don't see anything like truly that violent. This is a great stunt. Going right through the windshield here. I think does he say like, "Hey kid"? Like, I mean, hi kid. Nicely done. But yeah, that was a good stunt, like going right through the damn windshield. And this is the final like mano a mano sequence between these two, this cat and mouse chase throughout the entire movie. Great music here too. I swear I've heard this music in movie trailers. I could be wrong, but I swear this exact piece of music I've heard in movie trailers. I don't know which ones though. Might be ones that were similar sounding, but certain build up. Things are getting kind of hectic. Start the fucking vehicle, man. Pump the shit. Fucking get some. That must have been what the trivia was talking about, how coming up he would have shot him while he was... Which, I mean, I wouldn't have had a problem with that, but I'm fine with the way it is here in the movie. Because it definitely showcases that, Rutger's character is still alive and he finishes the job by doing that. I really like the music in this. Mark Isham did a wonderful job. I don't know about this one part where, I mean, obviously he's touching him to see if he's gonna get up or not. But I mean, this part here with the hair, I know in the making of, they mention, oh, that's like his way of saying thank you in a weird way, which I don't buy that. I mean, I know it's the people who made the film, but it's like, I don't really buy that part. So again, where he touches the hair with the gun. Here he finishes the job. And Rutger Hauer stared her dies with a smile. Like, this is what he wanted all along. See, even that wasn't as violent as people make it out to be. I mean, it was violent, but not that violent. But I think, at the time, it was such a well-done movie. Credits, I guess, just... I don't know what it is. I mean, I really don't. Which is confusing me. Like, I like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer as well. But, that film comes out and that's much more visceral, than this. But I would say I like this movie more. I mean, shots like this even, where the way the sun's going down, like you have the sun going up at the beginning of the film, and now you have the sun going down at the end of the film. He lit the cigarette at the beginning of the film, he's lighting it at the end of the film. And the way the music and... No bullshit downbeat ending, sequel bait ending, cheap shot ending. I mean, I love this film tremendously. I I think this film is a classic. It deserves a Blu-ray in the US and then some. There's no reason why it doesn't have one. None at all. I mean, well, technically I guess there's a reason, of course, but it should have gotten worked out long ago. Maybe even new interviews with Rutger Hauer and so. But it deserved. Still deserve a Blu-ray in the U.S. But yeah, it's a classic. Deserves to be talked about more. Yeah, love the film to death. Definite huge kudos and great jobs to C. Thomas Howell, Robert Harmon, uh, Eric Red, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and especially Rutger Hauer. Rest in peace, Mr. Hauer. You did a fantastic job in this. Thanks once again goes to Jacob Grodian, who requested this as part of the Patreon pledge. If anyone's ever interested in being part of my Patreon, which there's certain tiers and certain requests, you do so. Or if you ever want to request it directly via PayPal, you do that as well. It could be review, movie topic, re-review, commentary, pretty much any type of video. Links to those will be down below. Thank you guys. Take care. And we will see you in the next video. Later. Bye-bye.